out to the congregation today. So the program today is going to be focused on Gwen and family and her friends, her colleagues and family. So we're gonna you'll have a chance, if you'd like, once we start the process, to come up and say a few words on behalf of how you knew Gwen, your relationship with Gwen, and so forth like that. I know the family would appreciate hearing some great stories of how you and Gwen or Gwenny related to each other. So at any time, if there's something that you want like to say, you're more than welcome to say. We're also going to have people online participating from out of town, who some are sick and can't make it because of being sick, or they're long distances and planes and trains and ferries having problems. So, as you know, it was unexpected that what happened with Gwen, and we're all here now to celebrate her life and wish that things would have been different, but they are not. So if I'm going to read a couple of passages that were sent to us from family members. And this one is a prayer for Winnie from her cousin, Barbie Miller. Jesus, times and seasons are in our hands. When you know when we will be born, and we know when we will leave this earth to go home to you, you know you're covered. One would not be with us today, but we thank you for time we had with her. As we all go through the morning time, Jesus, we pray, will give us a deep sense of peace. We know that no one can take her place. Ask you to fill the gaps, and she was left with our love. May we find comfort and peace in your name, Jesus. And that's from her aunt, Barbie Miller. Another one is from Patty Kidd. No words can express my deepest sympathy for your loss. A very sad time. Gwenny was like an older sister to me. While we were growing up, we spent lots of time together as a young children. Christmas, birthdays, family visits, playing games, and family picnics. Even as your life took our own paths, Gwenny, and I always kept in touch. Phone calls, emails, special occasions, and cards, and of course, our visits. We shared a special cousins bond. There are many, many stories but one most memorable was when you and I were 12 and 11 years old. Our parents let us travel to Bermuda. We spent 6 wonderful weeks there with my Aunt Margie, Uncle Dick, and cousins Ricky and Sharon. What a great summer. Gwenny, I will really miss you. Your smile, your caring and kind nature, your down-to-earth approach to life. All those times together will leave me with lots of wonderful memories. Thank you for being such a great cousin and a good friend. Love you always, Patty Kidd. At this time, I'd like to invite her son, David, to come up.
My mom meant the world to me. She taught me things. She told me things. Some I listened to, some I wish I'd listened to. She did things in my life that I will never forget. Memorable moments include playing a donkey in a church Christmas play called Clip Clop. Yes, legendary. They remembered about that role for years to come. Nobody else they could remember who was in that play, only the donkey. Thank you, Mom, for that. And as I stand here, looking at my family, my dad, my sister, my brother, I still love you all, and I will miss Mom with all my heart. And I pray that she's in a better place. Mom, I love you. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to ask if there's anybody here would like to speak. You may. Please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marilyn and I am Dick's sister. Gwen is my sister-in-law. And I think we'd all agree that my brother did extremely well in choosing his life partner, right? And Gwen, if you're listening, and I think you are, thank you for saying yes. You know, I was at their wedding in New Brunswick 52 years ago. And after spending time with Gwen and her parents, Ruby and Russell, I knew we were welcoming someone very special into the family. Early on, Gwen taught me about caring, about compassion, about family. And later, with her own family in tow, and now with Megan, she taught me about writing very lengthy Christmas letters. You know, I continue to see her smile in the most unexpected places, and I pause to remember. Gwen was and always will be someone special in our family, and we are ever grateful.
Anybody else at this time would like to come up and say, yes, please? Just wait, please. Here's the cords. Thank you.
I'm saying this just off the cuff. I haven't made any kind of preparation. My name is Kelly Lafferty. I worked with Gwen at Richmond Hospital in the Emerge. And she was one of the best nurses I worked with. She was always good to her patients. She was more organized than anybody. And she probably trained most of us that worked in the department, in the treatment area. Whenever I went to work and I knew I was working with her, it made it a good day because we could get through it. And sometimes you have to deal with lots of difficult people, but she was always calm. I'm gonna miss her. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else at this time who'd like to come up and say a word, please? Her cousin, Allison.
Hi, everybody. So I live in Ottawa now, but I grew up in Edmundston, and Gwenny was my cousin. I have two things I'm going to show you. The photographer, Gwenny was the flower girl at my mom and dad's wedding. And the photographer had trouble getting her to smile. She was 5 years old. So you can picture all these adults lined up and the little girl holding a white basket, and she would not smile. But my father charmed her for a brief moment, and the photographer was smart enough to take a picture, and she's just so darn cute. I brought that to show you. I didn't know if it was going to be up there. And we were talking about her legendary Christmas letters. So, yeah, wait. So 2.5 pages, and then she has to write as well. And so I always felt so inadequate, kind of next to Gwenny. I have a few things. It's going to take me 4 minutes. Is that okay? So this morning I was writing this down, and the hotel printed it for me. So thank you for receiving me and for putting up with this. Gwenny taught me about life, about belonging, about creating family. She was a huge part of my childhood, as well as Patty's, as you heard Patty's letter. Mom used to look after Gwenny because Ruby was a golfer, and Aunt Ruby was my favorite aunt of all of my aunts. And so Gwenny was at my house often. I never went on a picnic that she wasn't there, just every family celebration. So she taught me too about being a teenager, how exciting it was. She was 7 years older than I am, and she seemed to be the center of high school life. She was at the top of her class with her grades, and she was so popular. Right after her graduation from nursing, she headed out to British Columbia. Holy cow, what a bold move, and fell in love with that guy, Dick McClellan. And they had those 3 beautiful children together, David, Tracy, and Ian. When I had my little kids, my first husband was in the military, and we moved to Vedder Crossing, that's near Chilliwack, in 1984. And I was very glad that Gwenny was here in the province. Gwenny and Dick and the children welcomed us to the province and to their home. So imagine 7 people coming for the weekend, 5 of them very wiggly and loud. I imagine Dick rolling his eyes, but he didn't show me that. We all kind of trusted Gwenny, you know, she was the calm person in charge. I don't know where they put us, but we had wonderful times with them, camping, so much fun. And I had the comfort of knowing Gwenny was nearby while I was in British Columbia. Oh, she made 7-layer cookies once when we arrived. My baking has never been the same since. I admire her industry. She was always working for others, and how she loved her children. How much of a team she and Dick were. Gwenny kept everything in order: family, expectations, love. Her letters at Christmas, as I say, were legendary. Gwenny, she was kind of like a family glue, a love glue, connecting our aunties with all of us and our cousins, like this intergenerational leader of our generation, the knitter of our family into its wobbly whole. She kept her own family, Dick and David and Tracy and Ian, in view, and also Dick and his parents and his siblings. So she told us all about you guys. She held her life up to us so we would know all about the McClellans' escapades and travels. And we learned about British Columbia and Arizona and Hawaii and Alaska in the meantime. I always admired her hands, her tidy, clean nails, and her beautiful smile. You know, there's overlap here because nobody can escape her smile. I loved how shiny her hair was. And she told me that her secret was to rinse with vinegar after you shampooed it. Well, my hair never got as shiny as her hair. But she got her first gray hair when she was 16. And it turned completely gray before anybody else of her age. And she told me this: people would ask me why I don't color my hair, she told me, but I can't be bothered. But she told me this when she was in her 60s. And she says, now that my friends are all in their 60s, they've caught up with me. She laughed at this, and then she said, and I think they look old. She laughed again, this time at herself. When I heard how sick she had gotten, and then almost immediately afterwards that she had died, it was like a window flew open in my chest, and swoosh of wind scoured my heart and my lungs from the inside. I kept thinking, not Gwenny. Gwenny was the linchpin. She was the rock. She was the solidest of centers. I offer condolences to Dick and David and Tracy and Ian, and to her lovely in-laws, and to you, her wonderful community. Wherever she went, Gwenny made the community richer. She was certainly a big sister to me, and I'll miss her for the rest of my life.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Tracy to come up and say a few words, please.
Tracy. This is a place I never thought I'd be quite yet. Not enjoying it, I'll admit that. For those of you who don't know, before all this happened, I had already planned a trip back east. Part of my adventures was always to go to her hometown in Edmundston, visit my grandparents' grave, do those sorts of things. I never thought that I'd have to bring her with me. But I was fortunate in that I was able to take some of her ashes with me, travel around on my adventure through Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, and then leave that there with my grandparents. And so that was pretty special for me. The scarf I'm wearing, she had it for over 50 years. It also got to travel around. I didn't tell my dad I took it, but it's now mine. Anyway, I'm gonna miss her so much. All the things Allison said, her crazy letters, oh my gosh. So I moved away to the States for a while, and you can just imagine the letters I got then. And then when she discovered email, oh my God. That was that. We didn't have to sell her on a computer until there's email, and then she was just sold. That was easy. But I'm gonna miss her forever. Love her so much. That's my dog. He's gonna miss her too. So I wrote down a few of the things that I thought I would miss the most, although I'm sure the list could go on and on and on. There's so many things that I could say, but I'll focus on highlighting the things that I think I'll miss the most. I miss fiddling with your hair when I sit in the back seat. She probably doesn't miss that. I miss seeing you cuddle with Bella and Gus. They always loved it too. It's my cat and my dog. Probably saw pictures of them up there. I miss asking you questions only you can answer. And now I don't know who I'm going to ask. I miss your voice on the phone telling me about your day. Dad does a good job, but not as good as you. I miss our Timmy and beach breaks when I come to visit. The view just isn't the same alone. I miss laughing with you when we get lost driving around. Thank goodness there's GPS now to help us. We had many adventures being lost on some roads. As mentioned, I miss your long newsy emails, even the Christmas one, and that's a gap that no one can fill. I miss heading to the store to buy 10 of whatever you think is hard to find in the moment. Ask us about the chapsticks and Aveeno cash we have right now. I miss your unexpected stubbornness when something really got to you, and I don't know where else I would have gotten that from. I miss asking for a baby blanket, thinking it'll take a while, only to have one magically appear from her stash in the closet. I'm certainly not going to be making those. I miss you coming to visit and bringing my favorite treats, but at least I have the recipes. And for those of you, those are the books the recipes come from. I miss you giving me advice that I didn't want to hear, but was always right. I'm gonna miss going to new places with you and watching you find someone who knew that someone that you knew within 5 minutes. You couldn't even imagine how often we go into a new place and she'd be like, oh, so-and-so, no, so-and-so. I'm like, you don't even know these people. It's a true gift. I'll miss planning what craft shows we'll go to together. They're certainly not as fun to go to alone. I miss coming over and watching hours of curling and golf because now I can't stop watching them even though I have no interest. I miss getting Christmas presents a month later because you forgot where you put them. That still doesn't get old, and we found some yesterday, a calendar dated 2020. Pretty sure it was for me. I miss going for walks and always bumping into you because you could never walk in a straight line. Gus does this too. And I miss shopping for napkins because you never seem to have enough, but you sure love the fancy ones. And there's some of those up there as well. There are so many things I'll miss, but most of all, I miss your hugs and your smile. And I miss and love you so much.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there any online that we want to say something? Okay. I just wanted to say something before we go on any further. The first time I ever met the strong-willed Winnie or Gwen was when Marilyn and I went to West Bank, just near the lumber mill. I was talking to Ian about, and Glen Rose. Marilyn and I went there for Christmas. We were invited to spend Christmas with Dick and Gwen and David, Tracy and Ian. And we were sitting down after dinner, and Gwen said to me, you know what would be a great idea? I'm going, what? Do you know what would be a great idea? I was going, uh-oh, what does this mean? Well, our kids don't want to go to sleep because it's Christmas time. And so I think it would be a great idea if Santa showed up. And I was going, Santa is coming here? She says, yeah, Santa is coming here. You know, right? I says, no, I don't. She says, yeah, you, Santa, you're going to show the kids that there is a real Santa. And I said, no, I'm not. She says, in her calm demeanor, oh, yes, you are. I said, but Gwen, I don't look like anything like Santa. But Dick has a Santa outfit. He'll dress you up and you'll go outside and bang on the door and window and everything else and frighten the kids, and you show them how Santa is. I says, but she said, no buts. But no, she said, please, we need a Santa. So Marilyn and the kids and Gwen take the kids away, get them ready for bed. Dick gets me all dressed up, puts the pillow on my tummy and everything else. I go outside and I'm going, what am I doing here? Because, this is not right. Anyway, so I said, okay. I bang on the door and all of a sudden jingling away. David says, who's that? And Tracy's going, oh, no. And Ian's like, I don't know, because he's the youngest, right? I don't know. So they're all running around. Gwen says, you know what? I think that's Santa. He came, she's so calm. I think that was Santa. He's come early for you guys. If you're not in bed, you're not going to, get the presents. Well, all I heard was screaming, get the bed. So anyway, everybody's in bed. I come in, ho, and running up and down, and the kids are screaming, oh, Santa's here. Anyway, only Gwen could convince me to be Santa because her calm demeanor said, oh, yes, you are. I was like, okay, all right, I get the picture here. Anyway, I would like to invite Ian and Megan to come up and say a few words, please.
So my wife decided not to say anything. That's okay. She could remember my mom in her own way, but I know that my mom played a really big part in her life, and So that'll be for her to remember. So there's lots of things I'll remember about my mom and as a family more than anything else. We always had this little game at Christmas time. My sister tended to always win, was to see who could make mom cry. Not in a negative light, but in a, probably when we were younger in a negative light. But as we grew older, the game was to get mom the most thoughtful, meaningful gift. And to many people, they might have thought that was new cars or jewelry or something like that, but it was never like that for mom. Mom just wanted the most thoughtful gift you could come up with. And so we all stalled the gifts to mom until the end. And we'd hide gifts so that nobody else knew there was any more gifts. And then we'd take turns giving them. And inevitably, Tracy was always the last person to give mom a gift. And most of the time anyways, she got the best reactions. And I remember things like that as a family. I remember my mom telling me when I would get in trouble or not get in trouble, or, you know, I always know what's going on with you. You know, we always know. You can't hide things from us. And now that she's passed, I'll have to be more cautious about all the things I do, because I know she could see me now. And I could tell you she didn't see all the things I did. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be standing here. But I'll definitely miss those moments. You know, we like to have the gotcha moments with mom where we just push her to the edge where she's almost mad, and then fill her life with love, and, you know, she'd embrace us. There's many things that I've done in my life that I never thought I'd do with my mom. I took her to a PGA golf tour event. Well, 3 of them actually. And the first one I ever took her to, the times before I had went with all my friends that were equal to my age, and we all like to party. And if you've never actually been to a PGA event, there's a lot of beer, there's a lot of things going on. You don't think it's just golf going on over there, but if you're live at the event, every second hole has a beer tent, there's hot dog carts and more drinks and wine and stuff for you. And so I decided I was going to take my mom and my good friend Andrew, and we all got in the car. We drove to, it was in Surrey for the Greater Vancouver Open, and we got out, we got in, and I just looked at my mom and said, Mom, I got to be honest with you, I'm going to be drinking. And my mom, just like everybody else said, very compassionate, smiling, oh, you just go be with your friends, dear. Well, I kept mom in close view for most of the day, and my friends and I went around and had fun and really enjoyed the game, and it was great. Then the last one we took her to was at Bear Mountain, and his mom's favorite golfer, one of her all-time favorite golfers, was Freddie Couples. So I spent quite a bit of money getting those tickets to that event, and Dad couldn't go he had to work in, so he didn't come, but I went, my sister went, my mom went, and another friend of mine went. And it was a skins game, so there's only 4 people playing, and Freddie Couples was one of them. So I was like, okay, I got to get mom really close to Freddie Couples. And there's 20,000 people at a PGA event. So we scoped the map and we found out what hole we were supposed to go to. And I went probably an hour and a half in front of everybody else. And I got right up in front of the tee box and I just posted right there. At the time when I got there, there was nobody else there, just me and the marshals that were marshaling around. And I was phoning my sister back and forth and back and forth. There's a big hike to come up to this tee box. And I just remember crowds were already there. Tracy, where are you? Freddie Couples is just about to walk in. No, sure enough, there's mom come tunneling through to the big crowd, come to the front of the line, not pushing out of her way, but being assertive that she needed to get to the front of the line. So she came up and I just took 2 steps back, and mom stood from me to my father, from Freddie Couples. I don't know if she said anything to him. I don't know if anything weird like that happened, but those are the things we do. I missed half the golf tournament just to get my mom within 6 feet of this guy that she'd been watching on for years and years. So it's things like that that I'll miss. Certainly we had our special moments as kids, and I like to push my mom to the edge a lot as a child. I mean, some of you probably noticed my shoes. These are the kinds of things that my mom would think was really cool. Not that she'd ever wear them, but she would say they were really cool, and lots of other things that we would do. And I don't know. I feel like I was probably a lot of challenges for her when I was younger. But being the baby, I was also the spoiled one and the blessed one. So anyways, I will miss my mom, and we'll all grieve in our own ways and we'll all cry, but thank you for all showing up. And I mean, I don't know most of you. Some of you probably know all about me if you've been around my mom. Yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll hopefully see most of you later on.
Again, and is anyone who would like to come up and make some comments about Gwen or Gwenny? You're more than welcome to come up now. Don't all rush at the same time. Anyone who'd like to make a kind word or so, you may do so for now. And I'm not sure the people on the Zoom to be able to, were we thinking of having someone on Zoom talk or saying anything? No, I guess the computers or whatever is not working as well as we would like. So at this time, our grandson was supposed to come and play violin, but unfortunately he's got the flu, and then he's passed it on to his, to our son. And he can't make it also because of flu. So I'd like to ask Dick at this time to come up.
There we go. First of all, thanks very much. I think I got most of you. Roxanne, I missed you. I saw you come in, but I didn't get to talk to you yet. I'm going to make sure I get you before I leave. I want to thank everyone for coming. This is great. And as Doug said, you're all invited. Each and every one of you are invited to Ricky's restaurant. They have the room at the back reserved for us. And we'd love you all to come. And it's all at our expense. So please feel free. After this, after I'm finished talking here, there's going to be some food and snacks come out, and tea and coffee. And you can get around and meet everybody that you didn't know. I guess I'm the only one here probably that knows everybody here. And I do thank you all for coming. And the people that are on Zoom, I see at the top cousin Georgina. She's from Manitoba, her daughter Lori. Who else have I got here? The Dana up there. Oh, Barb, good to see you, Barb. Barb's from Edmundston, another cousin or sister of Allison. And Dana is one of Marilyn's sons, and he is, we'll just say he's in Europe right now, rather than say where he really is. Yeah. Nancy from Salt Spring, Eunice is from Vancouver, Joanne lives in Princeton, Pat Sadamore, Pat and Gwen were really good friends, and we met them at Good Life, which is an RV park in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, that we went to for 14 years. And we met them down there, and they became really good friends. And Pat's husband and Jim and I got along just fine. Doing genealogy, we worked on the sound system there at the park. So thanks, Pat and Jim. Jim Mills, they're from Victoria. Unfortunately, he got sick and couldn't come. Tom is from Penticton. Joan Vaughn is from Ireland, and Kai is our resident violinist that didn't quite make it today, unfortunately. He had practiced a lot. So what I want to start off, and I kind of started off here, but start off in 1968. 1968, I was working for the Royal Bank. And as you may know, they love to move you around place to place. I started off in Richmond and went to many places. But one of the out of town places I was sent to was Vanderhoof. And Allison, you spoiled some of my story, but that's okay. She asked me a few questions yesterday when we were talking, like, how did you meet? And I said, well, you got to wait for today. So I worked for the Royal Bank in Vanderhoof for, well, actually I was there about a year and a half or so. And as a single guy, what are you going to do? Well, you know, there is a hospital there. I think there still is. And the hospital has a nurse's residence. And, you know, a lot of the people, there was other banks in town, but most of them seemed to deal with the Royal Bank, particularly the nurses. So one of them came in one day and talked to me and said, how would you like to go on a blind date? I thought, well, yeah, well, what else is there to do on the weekend? You know, the sidewalks roll up at 8 o'clock and the movie theater's closed and there's no hockey games. Yeah, okay, fine, we'll go. So I had the disadvantage of not knowing who the blind date was. However, the blind date knew who I was because they came into the bank all the time. So here we were, Saturday. Go up to the nurse's residence, and there was 2 or 3 others of us there because the single guys are up there. The RCMP members that were this single, we all kind of got along together and went around to these different. We didn't really party per se, but we had a good fun time. And so I was there, and lo and behold, here comes my blind date. Well, you know who it is, was. And we got along fine. I can't even remember actually what we did that night. I remember I was up in the nurse's residence, as were everyone else that was meeting their date for that night. And we probably dated a few more times and got together. And it wasn't that long after, it was probably 6 or 8 months, that we decided that we were going to formalize this arrangement. And so in May of 1970, we got married in Edmundston. And you've learned who some of the people were there. And if you watch some of the pictures that'll come up later, you'll see that Allison's in one of them because she was one of the bridesmaids. And that all went really well. We toured the Maritimes. I had never been to the Maritimes before, and I don't know whether you've ever seen the magic of the tidal bore in Moncton, or if you've seen the magnetic hill. The magnetic hill, it's still there, only now you have to pay for it. You park your car and you back up this hill, and it gives you the optical illusion that you're going uphill when you're really going downhill. That's all the best way I could describe it. And it really does, except I didn't see it. So we drove down and I backed up the hill again. Yeah, okay, fine. Where are we going next? Well, we're going to go to, I know, why don't we go, Cape Breton. That sounds like fun. So we had a little map and we went to through Cape Breton, and we're going along the mountains, and there's a great big sign on the side of the road. You have reached so-and-so pass, elevation 1,000 feet. I'm from BC, 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet is a small hill. However, if you're from the Maritimes, apparently that's a big deal. So that was our exciting trip through the Maritimes that particular year. And then as we moved along, as you know, that the bank moves us again. So we went from Vanderhoof. Next step was Terrace. And Terrace, well, David was born in Terrace. You remember that? Were you there? Okay, that's good. He was there. Trust me, you were there. You probably don't remember much. No. And just out of a sidebar, Ian went up to Terrace and worked, because the hospital is putting on a new hospital. They're building a brand new hospital. So he went up for 1 3-week stint as a manager of whatever they were doing there. And I said to him, well, why don't you go look for our house up there? He went looking, but it's not there. There is one of the pictures that we're going to show later. It's a real nice brown and yellow house. But that was our first house together. So yeah, the owners of that were Sam and Gladys. I remember Gladys. She was about 65 and had clothes on of about a teenager, because she liked being a teenager, I guess. Anyway, Terrace was great. We had a great time there. And where did we go from Terrace? Well, we moved to Prince Rupert. Might as well go on to the coast. And we said, there, okay, so we were there for a few years. And then we decided, oh, the bank decided, that's right. We're going to go to Cassiar. Well, Cassiar is an asbestos mine. And it's a small panel building with, I don't know how many staff we had, 5 or 6. It was a company town, 1 doctor, 1 hospital, 3 RCMP. So Tracy came along at the hospital, was born there, has that distinction. Hospital's not there anymore. The town's not even there anymore. The doctor that brought her into the world, Dr. Niedermeyer. And Dr. Niedermeyer is 2 sons, which you all know played hockey, Scott and Robert. And one was actually born in Cassiar. And he didn't want to bring his son into the world by himself because of complications. So he was going to send his wife out, but didn't happen. Cassiar was a great town, but we still had to leave a lasting legacy, and that was Ian. From Cassiar, we moved to West Bank. West Bank, we spent 25 years. And Gwen still wanted to get back into nursing, and the kids were getting a little older, so she started taking some upgrading courses. And with that, she started working at Summerland Hospital. And we have got 2 people from Summerland Hospital here today. Thank you very much over there, Marianne and Hope. And so Marianne worked with her for, I don't know how long she worked there. We lived in there for 20 odd years. So she must have been out there about 15 years, something like that. And she had a great time there, actually. Remember one time she was coming home driving the car, and all of a sudden the headlights went out in the car. Never did figure out what happened, but it was nighttime, it was dark. So she stopped on the side of the road, and whatever happened, I don't know. She got the headlights working and got home, but at that time had no cell phone. I mean, who needed a cell phone then, right? But the young kids had cell phones. And so Ian would lend her his cell phone when she went to work so that she would be safe on the way home. And she always was thankful for that. So we're going to fast forward a bit here. 50 years. 2020, May the 16th, 2020 would have been our 50th wedding anniversary. And we thought, what are we going to do for this? So this is planning ahead before COVID really hit. And we wanted to do a trip to Alaska. We had been there once, but we wanted to do not only the cruise as far up as Whittier, but we wanted to do the land portion as well. So we thought about that and we started planning it, then had to cancel. Well, we'll be okay for the next year. 21. Nope, not happening in 21. They weren't even letting cruise ships into Vancouver yet. You could go down to Los Angeles if you wanted to. No, we decided we're waiting. 22, that was going to be the year. So we sat and planned this, and we were going to go to 4 different lodges because the cruise line has lodges. All the cruise lines have lodges in Alaska that you can go and stay at 1 or 2. If you, we stayed at 4 different ones. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of that. On the cruise, we left out of Vancouver on July 30th, and we went up. The first place stops is Ketchikan. If you've never been to Ketchikan, I can tell you it is record for the most rain of any city in North America. So if you want to make what's going to happen today, it's going to rain. When we got off the boat, it was pouring. We walked a couple of blocks to where our van was to pick us up to take us down to the logger show. We got down to the logger show and the sun came out. But I was soaked anyway. And we saw the logging show and we went on to the Totem Park was another part of the tour we're on, and we came back. Ketchikan wasn't too bad. We'd been there 3 times. That was the 3rd time. Never gone to the logging show before, but it was worth going to. Next stop is Juneau. Juneau we went to. I love going to see the Mendenhall Glacier. It's a great place. We did a tour there. Bright sunny day till we got there. And then the downpour started. So it rains in Juneau as well. Okay, we did get to do a couple other things, but it was all in the rain. We did get to see the glacier. That's fine. We took an umbrella. We were prepared. So we had a great time there. And then normally we're going to go out to Skagway. And Skagway is a place that has the White Pass Yukon trains. And anyone knows me knows that I'm a train guy. If you ever want to come over to my place one time, you'll see why. Skagway experienced 3 different slides this year on their dock where the cruise ships dock. So where our ship was going to dock wasn't going to happen. So we went out to Sitka, which is right out in the open waters, and went there instead. And I'd never been there, so it was a new port. And the neat thing, if you're ever going to Sitka, is they closed off all the streets. So the cars only go on the main street. All the side streets are closed off for all the visitors to walk on. So it was great. Now, what I look forward in any of these things is what I call the husband's bench. If you know what they are, Walmart used to have them. They don't anymore. They took them out with COVID. I look for the bench because I know I'm going to be a while. I don't mind going into the stores and looking at all the neat little packages of napkins and other such trinkets. I don't mind that at all. But it only takes me about maybe a minute and I'm done. Now, if it's a train store, different story, but that's okay. So I look for a bench, and fortunately in Sitka, there was benches outside I could sit on, and waited. And then for a change, I waited. And then she finally come out of the store and she bought a few cards or whatever, and that's fine. Now we're on to our next stop. And that was Sitka. Okay, what's our next stop? Our next stop was in the glaciers. They take you up into the, what do they call it? I can't even remember what it's called. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of glaciers there. They take you down the big fjord. And the ship parks one side, because if you're in a balcony, you only can see out one side. It parks one side. And you just sit there for half an hour watching the glacier, and you're maybe a couple 100 feet from it. And you hear all that cracking and snapping that happens. And then it does a 180, and the people that are on the other side get to sit and watch it for half an hour. And if you want to go on the upper deck, you can just slip back and forth and watch on either side. So we saw the glaciers. Next stop was Whittier, which is the end port. And the neat thing about Whittier, it's about 60 miles from Anchorage. And one of the things you got to do there is you got to go through a tunnel. And I never knew this thing existed. I know tunnels exist, but this tunnel is for trains and for vehicles. It can't have both at the same time. And the traffic for vehicles is only one way. And when the train goes through, it's not an automatic car next. They have to wait for all the fumes and the diesel to clear out of the tunnel before they let you through. Tunnel's about a mile, mile and a half long. And we're on a bus, we wait our turn, and we go down to the first lodge, Kenai Lodge. Kenai Lodge was made out of panabode style housing, if you're familiar with that. It did rain there a little bit, but not much. But one of the things I want to mention about Kenai Lodge is the picture that we have on the memory card, and the one that's over on the far side was taken on the sun deck of Kenai Lodge on August the 7th of this year. And honestly, that's the last really good picture I have of Gwen. And it was just purely by accident that I took a picture. I took my tripod, my camera, set it all up. Oh, well, we're sitting out here after dinner or whatever. I'll just tried taking some pictures, and that's what happened. So for me, that's a very lasting memory. Kenai Lodge, went by bus up to the next lodge called McKinley. And McKinley Lodge is named after a former president, US. And the one thing about Alaska, they have a huge park there called Denali National Park. And they used to call it Mount McKinley, but they don't anymore. It's Mount Denali now. And the state of Alaska dictated that about 6 years ago. At McKinley Lodge, we never saw Denali. We were what they called part of the 70% club. That's the numbers of people that don't get to see. When we were leaving the next day, the sun started to lift, the clouds started to lift, but we didn't. And the next trip, or the next part from McKinley, we went up to Denali Lodge. That was the next stop. At Denali Lodge, the Princess Cruise Line gave everyone a free pass to go into the national park. And what they do there is you can't drive into the national park. Well, you can a little bit, and you have to park. They take you on a school bus. So they load us on a school bus, and off we go through the park. And they have a little system between the drivers, because remember, there's not just one bus, there's probably 10 or so buses going up and down all the time. They have little signals that they have to one another, so they know if someone spotted an animal. The first thing we see was moose. So the bus pulls over to the side, oh, there's moose, and everyone's shouting and looking and taking pictures, and they move on to the next one. We got to the end of the path, and we all got out to listen to a young lady who spoke about living in Kodiak, Alaska, home of the famous pancake mix. And lo and behold, Denali Mountain was clear as a bell. 60 miles away, mind you, solid white, extremely clear. So now we can say we've seen Denali. We saw one caribou on the way back, a few other little animals, but that was the extent of our trip there. That's the part of the trip that I'm going to remember the most, because I guess it is the most current. But we had a great time. I took my laptop with me, so we were able to keep in contact with emails for the kids down in the lower 48 to let them know what was going on. I took a lot of pictures, of which I haven't really sorted through yet. But yeah, that is what I'm going to remember the most, mainly because it's the most current. And we're going to, in a few minutes, we're going to run some of the slides. There's 86 pictures, I believe, somewhere in that range. We're going to run through them. Some of you that are here are in them. But one thing is very, very common in all of the pictures. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. Some of you figured it out already, I know. It's called her smile. Though her smile is gone forever, and her hand I cannot touch, I will have so many memories of the one I love so much. Her memory is now my keepsake, which with I'll never part. God has her in her keeping, and I have her in my heart. Sadly missed, but never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Just want to remind everyone today that there are things and pictures and things of Gwen that you should all come by and have a look at. I just wanted to thank Dick, David, Tracy, Ian, and Megan for inviting us to this celebration of life for Gwen McClellan. It reminds us all that you'll never know when something happens, so enjoy your life to the fullest and be close and loving to your family and remember your friends. On the tables are pansies that are favorite to Gwen. You are invited to help yourself to take one of the flower pots with you when you leave. Also on the tables are these withers, which was also Gwen's favorite candies to chew on. She liked to hide them and put in places where she would find them quite easily. But please, as a reminder for Gwen and the pansies, please help yourself, a part of her life. When we finish the proceedings, there are refreshments, coffee and some sandwiches at the back. And as Dick said, he would like to make a personal touch with every one of you that has come to the celebration. After that, we'll be adjourning to the Gwen's favorite and Dick's favorite restaurant, Ricky's, which is down in Parksville. And if you're looking for how to get there, one of the family members will show you how and tell you how to get there. You're all invited to participate there too. If there's anyone who has a last word, please, if you'd like to say something, please do it now. We'd like to thank all the people who are online for being here and being a part of the celebration for Gwen. So at this time, I would like to thank you all again on behalf of the McClellan family for coming for the celebration of Gwen's. Thank you. Please stand up, and if you'd like to see some of the things or back of the refreshments. Oh, please don't forget to sign the book at the back and also from where you're from. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was great. No, you did a good job. That was way you done that. So I like how you did that. Until the end, I didn't know where you're going with that. That was perfect. The way you come to the end of that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good about how you wanted to remember her life. That was so good. That was so good. Yeah.